Happy hump day, everybody. Welcome back to Brown Bag Bets. Powered by BetSperts, we are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. Taking a break from thinking about what songs to put behind that video of an orangutan driving a golf cart. I'm Alex Christensen, and joining me, as always, big, sexy in glasses, Mr. Andy Mahler. How are we today? Are we feeling blue?
I am. I'm a little blue, aren't I? I think these frames may even be blue. Oh, they're blue on the side. Look at that. Now I can't see shit. Yeah, it's a whole thing. I forgot to put my contacts in. I have no idea why, and then I just said, "The hell with it. I'm not turning this truck around." So it's glasses day for me, and yeah, we're ready to go. Hockey was fun last night. We have a series. We've discovered that hopefully it doesn't go seven, or we have some complications with a Bieber concert. Interesting to see if they just bump the Beeb, or if they would make the hockey teams play on Long Island. There's other arenas in the city. You could literally, use the Islanders arena, I guess, because
It's an
that's
interesting thing. That's one of the more fascinating things people I don't think consider. And again, it was mentioned in winning time when they were trying to figure out. They're like, well, what happens if they can't find a venue? They have to move. What do you? They? No, the Lakers have to move. I mean,
yeah, it's
there
the
is
Lakers.
there is an order of ownership for some of these arenas, and in the NBA for years, that's why teams took road trips at certain times. There was a quote rodeo road trip. All the Texas teams would basically have to leave Texas to go play basketball elsewhere because the rodeo owned a certain arena for a period of time. It's wild how all that stuff works.
If they let Bieber sing the anthem and do the puck drop and do the let's play hockey thing, maybe he'd just be like, fuck it. He's like Patrick points out, he's Canadian. He likes hockey for sure. So I don't know. It'd be interesting, but I'm glad the Lightning have made a series of it. We have one hockey series to get us through now, and two teams remain in basketball, and it is
It
the
is. We're getting
Celtics
down to the dog
Celtics
days, Andy.
and the Warriors. Yeah, we're running out of stuff. I'm really, really thinking I'm gonna have to kick it up a notch for our women's Euros because I'm gonna run out of sports here in a bit. And boy, howdy, baseball's hard. So I had Dan do some digging this morning at all the legal shops for your prices. Looks like if you really wanted to, you could get either team right now for minus 105. Maybe you shop around, you can find a little better price if you hunted some locals, offshores, maybe an even money. I'm not saying that with actual empirical evidence. I'm just assuming somebody has a stupid number out there because they have too much exposure on one side. But yeah, it looks like minus 105 is kind of your best price. Warriors at DraftKings and the Celtics at either MGM or Caesars minus 105. I'm sitting on a little Warriors, so I feel bad not mentioning WinBet. WinBet has Warriors minus 105 as well, but I'm on a little Boston. I did buy it after we talked on Monday. I forgot I had time. It was like 6 days between games again, and here we go. Are you sitting on any futures? Have you added anything? Are you any? Do you have any
Against
goofy ones?
nothing crazy. I'm sitting on Boston pre-series and then Boston minus 1.5 games pre-series. I had so much fun with the Ego parlays. I put some Boston to win the series minus 110 with Dusty Johnson to win the LIV tournament there. I think it got me like up to 8 or 9 to 1. So I've been doing little goofy things like that, but I've got quite a bit of Celtics in my back pocket already from before the series. It was a little bit of a bigger bet to me. I had it basically a pick 'em. I could even make a case for Celtics being favored beforehand. And again, if you don't have any Celtics, go out there and find some minus 105s, find some minus 110s. I don't understand why the better team with home court advantage isn't a larger favorite at this point. So I mean, we'll see. The Golden State had a great game too. We'll see if they get a friendly whistle again in Boston here these next 2 nights, and if Steph can keep making shots. But I just think that game one is a little more like what we're going to see going forward, and game two maybe a bit of an aberration. But we'll see. If you don't have some Celtics, get some.
What is home court worth to you in your numbers, and not just in general in this series at this point? Because I saw what a 4.5 at close for the final game of the two they played out in the Bay Area, and now we have a 3.5 the other way. Are we really
It's
gonna
a
move
big
eight
move.
points? Yeah, I'm. That's confusing me. I'm looking at the lines now. So yeah, 3.5 Boston and 212. Kind of wondering if that's a big ass swing. Not that I'm saying I don't want to lay it, but
I went back
Explain it.
and looked. In the finals and the postseason, home court advantage is a little bit more important. And I think it's a combination of it being really important in the finals, plus these two teams having really good home court advantage. I mean,
Sure.
Golden State is much, much better at home. Boston is much, much better at home, despite what we've seen this postseason with their success on the road. But it is, I agree. I think it's a little too big of a swing. But I think the number in Golden State was wrong. So if you swing it too much back the other way, you kind of make up for it a little bit. I mean, this is pretty much where I have it. I have Boston as about a 4, maybe 4.5 point favorite at home, and the line in Golden State, I had them closer to like 1 and 2 point dogs. So I mean, yeah, the adjustment looks a little too big, but they did get themselves, I think, closer to right here. But I'm still in the under. Took the under yesterday. We got a 0.5 point of CLV so far, and I'll take the under again. It's 212 is fine. I'm going to poke around this afternoon, maybe look for some alts, see if I can find, honestly, like an alt under 200. I mean, there's a chance this game gets really, really ugly if it's played the way Boston wants to and the way they played a lot of games at home. So in general, I just, so this line I had Celtics -4, maybe 4.5, and then the total, I keep coming up with 209, sometimes 208, honestly, depending on what I tweak there. So like the under quite a bit here, and I think we'll just continue to play this as long as they keep hanging numbers this high, but maybe there'll be an adjustment. I hope not.
Yeah, it's funny. It's tough to find good alt numbers sometimes. I know some places do let you, like
Our
expand
sponsor,
the.
FanDuel, does a great job with that.
Yeah, they have a lot. That was a big thing with some of the European books years ago. Like, God, who's the weird Italian guy? Our pizza guy, pizzas and four.
Oh, Pizzola? Or are you talking
Greco, no,
Greco? Oh,
Greco,
Greco.
Greco. Like that guy posted one time, blew my mind what he posted for, because he didn't understand what an NFL teaser was. I said, "Well, you can move the line." He's like, "Well, I can just bet whatever line I want." And he showed me for the NFL game, and it was like the team was -7, and he could bet them up to like +7 and down to like -38 or whatever it was. I'm like, well, yeah, like I don't have that. I play teasers because
Got
of
to drive to Iowa for that.
yeah, they price it differently, but I'm looking at an under. Where do we? The lowest one I have is an under 200.5, only plus 250 ish. That's not enough.
I'll poke around. I'll tweet some stuff
I'd
out
want
when
a
I
bigger
find it.
price.
But
That's one of those weird heritage ones. They don't give you great prices on the alts, but I'm with you there. I agree. I've been kind of talked into the under. Had a little bit of an end game too. I think going back for more and get into some golf. We have
what up north there, eh?
two tournaments this week. One is actually being talked about, and it's not this one, but the RBC Canadian. And I feel horrible. It's a good tournament, one of the oldest damn tournaments. It's essentially the U.S. Open for Canada. That's why they call it the Canadian Open. Similar to the U.S. Open or any of the majors, they played at different courses. Sometimes they'll play the same course a couple years in a row. They just don't seem to have rhyme or reason for things. But this is it's played at St. George's there in Toronto. It hasn't been played there since 2010, so you don't have a good grip on how this course is going to play. Reading some player quotes now before I get too nuts with top 20s and matchup bets. But yeah, I'm excited because it is one that, like I mentioned earlier in the week, the Canadian rules have been a little stricter. So this is an event that has not been played in 2 years now. They skipped the last two revivals of this. We haven't seen it in a bit, and always excited to see the RBC Canadian Open. So a couple of full tournament head-to-heads that I swung on this morning, and I do see this being somebody flirting with like -20. Like this course is going to play scoreable, easy-ish golf. So I'm seeing a pretty wide distribution of results as far as like the winners being near -20 and the cut line still being, 6, 7, somewhere, maybe not that, a 4 or 5, something like that. So some of these guys who struggle, there could be a really big spread in final scores, especially amongst the ones that get cut. So I'm going to be laying -1.5 strokes a lot. I do this less in tournaments. I believe we'll have a very narrow distribution of results where, maybe it's not super penal, but it's tough to score. So Svensson -1.5 strokes over Sabatini. Sabatini, the old the other Rory. Not a guy I back a ton.
Rory the Elder.
Yeah, Rory the Elder. I think I have bet on him once in one matchup here, but Svensson, a younger Canadian who has done well a couple times this year. He has a couple nice results. He has a top 10. And playing here at a home course, I just don't have Sabatini ranked very high in basically anything. This is one of those where just needs fencing to hit his baseline projections, and I think he is that much better than even a guy who's won, an older statesman of the tour, and then Doug Gim with the GH, same thing, laying 1.5 strokes over John Huh and Gim. I'm gonna have to look where I had him overall here. I think I have him fairly high in just like my overall rankings. He was one of those where I was looking at him to possibly play, something like a top 20, top 40. I
Yeah, you
think
like him a lot. He pops.
he's still in that for me. His form isn't the best right now, but I have his fit being pretty high here, and also just a good second shot, good greens and regulation guy. So I have him fairly high, and John Hunt I do not. He is they're priced similarly. Obviously, you see because of putting him in a matchup. John Ho's like $7,400 in DraftKings. I don't understand that considering his irons play, considering what I think matters to this course. So another one I'm going to lay minus 1.5 strokes. And yeah, I think that's going to be a kind of a theme for me this week is laying it, selling strokes, which is sounds filthy, I guess. And look at this. Rick Daddy 69 420 sent a long post. Bet online is Corey Connors as an odds boost special to 2,500. That's a nice price. Odds boost typically, do they typically use them to balance out action? I usually see them as the kiss of death, which is sucks because I have some Corey Connors, but I don't read too much into it. I do think that just because golf outrights, usually books would have a really hard trouble time getting themselves in trouble with like, oh my god, if this guy wins the tournament, we're busto this month. Like the over round on this at a recreational book is like 50% in an outright market. So
Is it as
it's
simple as he's the best Canadian?
that's yeah, exactly where I was headed. I think it's gonna be like, hey, he's gonna be popular because he is the best Canadian, and people who maybe are a little recreational might not be placing a bet otherwise that click into the odds boost. They look at what are the odds boosts. Like Corey Connors is from Canada. Maybe I should bet him to at the Canadian
I'm
Open.
gonna play it.
I think some of these odd boosts aren't so much trying to draw in money to a bad bet or balance action. It's trying to get someone who may not normally bet into markets like that to make a bet, or somebody who does to make an extra bet. The more
It's a
outright
$10
bets,
max, Andy.
yeah,
So I mean, the risk
no,
is nothing.
sure. So yeah, and I know people go into Bet Online and click on the odds boost page every day just to look see if there's anything fun. So let's go, and like I said, second tournament of the weekend. It is a 54-hole, no cut, shotgun start weirdo event in London.
Shotgun.
Yeah, I was saying this to Dan. I'm like, if they've horribly missed as far as getting involved with people with massive human rights violations, they are crushing it as far as maybe making the viewing experience better because you start watching golf on a Thursday morning and it's like an hour deep and there's like 6 groups on the course. This is going to be every hole is going to have action immediately. God, just the
I mean,
entire
is there there's got to be some great live betting opportunities here, right? Like if there's, say, some better players that start in a tougher stretch of holes, and then you wait for them to kind of get through that, go in, whack them then. I wonder, honestly, it would take a ton of time and a ton of attention. I wonder if you could basically just create a negative hold on first round leader bets live if you do it right.
If you got to know some of the courses and had the data on which stretches play really, there are places where it's like, hey, here's a really hard 5-hole stretch, or these technically or typically play tough. I think there's some angles to attack. I like that your brain is always shooting an angle, Alex. That's you're a wild man when it comes to that.
Live betting.
No,
Man,
I'm pumped about the shotgun start. I'm not sure how I feel about no cut, but
I don't like the shotgun start from a competitive standpoint. I just don't. I think it's a bad idea, but as a watcher, great.
Yeah, from a viewer standpoint, I like the the fact that I did zero research on this course.
It
I couldn't even tell you really if it's what part of London it is or what the name
does
of the
have
course
18
is.
holes, yes?
Yes, I just kind of looked at the golfers. I
Good
looked at
start.
forum, and I played a couple. I mean, these are small bets. Just again, so I can say I did bet the event, very small. But Usti being 10-1 feels pretty heavy for a guy who essentially almost won a bunch of majors. And then Larafabel and Becker at 35-1. A couple guys I've been eyeing, and then got some confirmation on Becker from our friend the Food Snob Frog. He liked him as well, so that's all it took to take him from the short list and put him into the bet list. So just those three again. These are not very big bets. I just wanted to say I bet it, and boy, it'd be nice to do the old double outright again.
Do you think we can get a bet on Louis to finish second? Like exactly second?
I mean, that should be a prop. I should talk to Dave Mason.
I think I saw some exactas, and maybe I'll do that. I'll look for some exactas with Louis in second.
Yeah, Bovada has that stuff. Where
Yeah,
it's
again,
like,
small limits, but fun stuff.
yeah, I do like those like these three guys to finish in the top three in any order. Like, I'm never hitting this, but I might bet it. Oh, all right, got that out of my system. Ready for both golf tournaments this weekend, and we will continue not only in Sertagenbosch, but a much easier name for everyone to say, spell, and think about, Nottingham, the home of the sheriff, I guess, and
Not to be confused with Rottingham, different places.
a fun soccer team too. So I like what I see down there. I'm seeing some filthy underdogs covering it, not just with games, but set spreads and stuff. What do you got here today?
All sorts of fun, and we'll start with Bosch. I don't know when these matches are going to be played. They haven't played a single bit of tennis today. It is pouring rain. They probably won't play today, and so hypothetically, Kalinskaya plays today. Hypothetically, Van Uytvanck plays tomorrow. I think you have some time. Kalinskaya plus 550 and plus 5.5 games. Again, hypothetically, is going to be playing against Belinda Bencic here whenever play gets back underway. Bencic is someone I have an outright ticket on. I think there's a chance he just runs through this tournament, but this number is way too big. This probably shouldn't be higher than 400, honestly, let alone up as high as 550. The game spread at 5.5 games is actually kind of cheap. I mean, I had it closer to 4.5, and that's before even considering the fact that if we have some rain and some schedule nonsense here, Bencic is the kind of player who might just look at the situation and go, you know what? Let's just go to Berlin. Let's get into next week. I don't need to be here, possibly hurting myself, possibly playing 2 matches in a day and things like that for, what is a smaller event than the point she's defending next week. So like the numbers here, and then have that little cherry of a possible bailout fade from Bencic, who, I mean, again, if things look tight and she loses that first set, I wonder how that'll go. And then we'll take Alison Van Uytvanck. This is her time of year to shine. She piles on a ton of ranking points during the grass season, is generally very good. Usually actually plays in Nottingham, but we're finally back in her home country, so like a little home country edge, and should be pretty comfortable here. She plays against Elise Mertens. This match opened at a pick'em, and I thought about betting Van Uytvanck there. I have her as a favorite around in the neighborhood of minus 125, but it continues to slide out. I grabbed some plus 110. I think plus anything is a really solid bet. And then in Nottingham, where they're actually playing tennis, Harriet Dart is going to be up, I would say, in about 30 minutes, maybe an hour. She is next up on center court after the Watson-Golubic match, which just wrapped up the first set. We'll see how long that goes. But Harriet Dart going to take about a unit and a half and split it up here in the money line, plus 1.5 sets, which is plus money, and plus 4.5 games, which is plus money. She goes against Camilla Giorgi. Giorgi, a great player when she plays well on grass, but extremely erratic, and someone who on any day, honestly, can beat herself. Dart, really solid numbers on the grass. One of the few players that's gotten to play there quite a bit. Again, it's just, she's from the United Kingdom. That's one of the few places that has grass courts. It's a real advantage. So like her there, again, just a number that's too big. And Katie Bolter, quickly becoming a grass specialist herself. Again, another player from the United Kingdom with a ton of experience on the surface. like her in this matchup tomorrow against Alya Tomljanovic. Now, Australian players do have grass experience. There's some grass courts there as well, but I have this closer to a pick 'em, honestly. I was surprised to see Bolter here as a pretty big underdog, and honestly was hoping for a futures bet on her just to get a number I quite liked. So, couple dogs against Sertagenbosch. If I had to bet, they probably don't get to any of these matches today, but maybe Kalinskaya plays. Van Uytvanck will be tomorrow. Dart in about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, and Bolter tomorrow.
Gotcha. Roger, underdogs. Not as big as my underdogs. Louis was 10-1. You're only betting 3 and 5.
Yeah, but he's like second favorite. Does that really count as an underdog?
I'm not sure
second favorite.
I'm not sure if it's close. I'm trying to think where they had. I'd have to look at the markets again. Honestly, it was such they put those markets up and then just straight up took them down because there were some wrong ones, and I again brew not being in one of these legal states where you could have just slapped some of that right away because a lot of the offshores didn't have that sort of thing right away. But yes, underdog day for us, and yeah, even though they're favorites, that's a discussion for another day. Somebody got called out about that in media where he gave out a bet for a underdog of the day, and it was like this minus 300 favorite in UFC, but he played some random prop of like an exact round finish. And people are like, well, that's not an underdog. That's an underdog price. But so I was going to say both of my golf matchups are plus money prices, but they are favored in those matchups. That's why you lay a stroke and a half to cut down a little of the juice as you think if they win by a bunch anyway. So, and then do as always check out our sponsor PropSwap. The U.S. Open is next week. Going to start to see more and more golf tickets on there. You can get a $500 deposit match if you sign up using our promo code BetSperts. Essentially, go find somebody you like for the U.S. Open on there, and you can get them for double the odds. And even if you just use it that one time, that is well worth your trouble if you want to get some outright prices. If you see one on there, go on there, look. If you do see it, then deposit, and then you buy it right away. And then you can get, you can have like a Scotty Scheffler at 20-1 or something along those lines. So let's go all these bets. Let's go Celtics, but not too many points, guys. And we'll catch you tomorrow.
98-90 Celtics.
I'd love that. See you guys Friday.